Well, I haven't got a third edition of my necklace yet. I'm not currently in a place where I want to spend hundreds of dollars on a fossil, but I've got my eye on a Camarasaurus tooth for next time. In Season 3 of Jurassic World Camp Cretaceous, after the camp fam got screwed over by Mitch and Tiff, they're now looking to find their own way off Isla Nublar, having seemingly forgotten that Mitch and Tiff weren't the ones who got their distress signal. Yeah, what happened there? But as they think they may have found a way, the dinosaurs of the island begin acting abnormally, and they slowly discover that a monstrous creation of Dr. Wu's is ravaging the island, causing a threat to all the inhabitants. And like with my reviews of the first two seasons, I will be giving all of my complete thoughts, which include spoilers. The first season I thought was fine overall, despite having what are still yet two of the top 5 best episodes of the show, Things Fall Apart and Last Day of Camp. The second season I liked, and the conclusion got me pretty excited for this third part. And I will say, there is quite a bit in this season for Jurassic fans such as myself to love. However, there are more than a few catches. It starts off with a weak first episode that's drawn out, amounting purely to the kids discovering an option to get off the island that's been there all along since Season 2. Now, at the end of Season 2, I was under the impression that Darius and Brooklyn were watching as Tiff got eaten by Limbo and Chaos on her yacht, and I just assumed that the baryonyxes did too much damage to the boat for the kids to use it themselves. So I was confused when they spot the yacht near shore and talk as though they had no idea what happened. Now, re-watching that last episode, it does appear that Tiff was turning a corner before the berries attacked, so Darius and Brooklyn didn't see what was going on. But still, it now feels like a wasted cliffhanger when their solution was right there. And another thing that felt off about this first episode is the fact that Brooklyn and Yaz can hardly work together or even speak with each other. Why are things between them so awkward all of a sudden? They were working pretty well together in the second season, when the two of them were keeping watch for the T-Rex returning to her nest. So that came rather out of left field, and wasn't very fleshed out. It seemed like just something to do with these characters for this one episode, just to stretch it out to the length necessary for it to lead to the kids finding the yacht. Sure, this did give us a pretty cool escape sequence where the two of them hang glide away from the observatory which had been taken over by Dimorphodons. Even then, I kinda had to roll my eyes at the cliche of the danger reappearing immediately after a hero says, "I think we lost him." As a rule of thumb, if you ever feel the need to say, "I think we lost him," just immediately assume that you haven't. The characters that are most engaging in Season 3 would be Darius, as usual, and, I can't believe I'm saying this, but the character of Ben was actually well written here. It's gotten to the point where Ben has sort of developed a case of Stockholm Syndrome. He doesn't want to leave the island because it's where he found himself. He's gotten so used to living in the place where he overcame his panophobia, and it doesn't help that Bumpy can't go with him should he leave. I have to give major credit to this season for getting me to care about a character that I started out detesting. The prominent thread of this season is the beast that Kenji accidentally released from its cryonic sleep. Not a Pyroraptor as I predicted, but the Scorpius Rex, the first hybrid Dr. Wu created, but was rejected by Ms. Ronnie for being too hideous to put on display. When I saw the toy for the Scorpius Rex, I thought, that's it, just a slightly more heavily built Indoraptor? But oh no, the toy does not do this creature justice. This thing is scary. It's so unpredictable in what triggers its aggression. It breeds asexually and has an accelerated growth rate, which gives us 2 of the beast at one point. It has this grisly posture that made me think of that early Jurassic Park 4 concept art of the dinosaur-human hybrids. And the creature's roar sounds otherworldly. In fact, I could swear that the roar contains that creepy sound from the Alien trailer. In each of the first 2 seasons, the 5th episode was my least favorite. In Season 3, it's the best one. Episode 5, Eye of the Storm, marks the first time in this whole show where I felt legit fear. From Dr. Wu's video journals describing the creature to the atmosphere getting progressively grimmer, the build-up to the Scorpius Rex was excellent. Though I did get a little tired of the first few episodes ending with the same tease of the creature over and over. But it was tense when the S-Rex shows up in front of the electrified fence around the kids' fort. When it disappeared for a moment, and then suddenly there it was up in a tree behind them, I just blurted out, "Oh frick no!" It gets darker when Sammy gets struck with its venomous quills, causing her to sweat and her skin to turn greenish. At that point I was thinking, how is this still labeled as TVY7? This does not feel like a kid's show anymore, if it ever was. And this brings us to another good episode where Yaz, being the athlete, makes a long run to Wu's lab to collect the antidote for the S-Rex venom and save Sammy. I liked the way that little things that happen to her during this run trigger memories of her and Sammy. They keep her going, and in the meantime, she realizes how her friendship with Sammy in particular helped make her into a better version of herself. So just about everything involving the Scorpii was great, and there were a few other cool new creatures. I liked the Monolophosaurs. I thought they were also creepy, the way they just stare at prey going by when they're alone and then gather the pack to follow. The sequence in episode 3 where they creep into Kenji's penthouse through the vents to hunt the kids inside had some good haunted house vibes, similar to the Indoraptor in the Lockwood estate. But I have to question how newly introduced dinosaurs like the Monolophosaurus as well as the Uranosaurus fit into this time. Neither were anywhere on Jurassic World's list of attractions. Suppose they were part of a discontinued attraction like the Carnotaurus, or one not yet open like the Velociraptors. Their names aren't among the DPG's list of dinosaurs, endangered or already extinct before the eruption of Mount Sibo. Based on all the info we've got, the only answer I can come up with as to how they're present on the island is a not-in-canon one. It's because the studio wants new species to add more flavor with every Jurassic movie and TV season we get. But even so, there are a number of species we know are alive on the island that have never made an on-screen appearance. The Monolophosaurus could have been replaced with Herrerasaurus, the Uranosaurus could have been Edmontosaurus, and Metriacanthosaurus! Been there ever since the first movie, why haven't we seen that yet? I wish they had put as much thought into that as they had into other parts of Jurassic lore. This season contains dozens of Easter eggs that any JP fan would appreciate, like moments that mirror unused concepts for other films, and references to other stuff outside of the film canon. I liked the one part in episode 4 when the kids come across the old visitor center, and Yaz warns that the place is cursed, because she read somewhere that John Hammond broke his ankle there and got eaten alive by compies. I was thinking, whoa, Yaz has read Michael Crichton's Jurassic Park. Is there some Spaceball stuff going on here? In the universe, I'm guessing she actually read that in something like the National Enquirer. And like the first 2 episodes, this one does fill in little bits of information, such as how that one gyrosphere got so far north that Claire and Franklin could use it to escape from the volcanic eruption. In Eye of the Storm, we see a gyrosphere getting kicked around by one stampeding dinosaur after another running away from the Scorpius Rex, which I believe is meant to be that particular gyrosphere. Episode 8, Escape from Isla Nublar, is the one that I really wanted to love, but there are a few darn things that kept me. In what was probably my least favorite part of this whole season, some of the kids come across a lost Brachiosaurus hatchling. So their solution to helping it find its herd is to imitate the dinosaur's sounds to call for its mother, and it actually works. Really? The Brachiosaurus respond to and walk toward humans doing their best impersonation of them? Sure, you might compare it to the first Jurassic Park when Grant imitates their calls and the herd of Brachiosaurus turn toward him, but that didn't seem so much like them recognizing the sounds as just him getting their attention. I really hope Dominion doesn't contain a scene like this one from Camp Cretaceous. The other thing with Escape from Isla Nublar, and this also goes for episode 4, Clever Girl, is when Blue shows up and Darius takes the stance needed to make her see him as her alpha. Where did he learn to do that? It was Owen who had just pioneered the handling of raptors, and Darius has never met him. If it was the plan from the beginning for him to eventually do this, then in the first season when they wander into the raptor paddock, it could have been Owen who helped save them, and Darius watches from behind as Owen keeps them from attacking. Had that happened, this plot hole would be non-existent. Still, I really did enjoy the final showdown with the 2 Scorpii in the old visitor center. The action even goes into the very kitchen where Lex and Tim foiled the raptors all those years earlier. As the S-Rex peers in through the window and starts fiddling with the door handle, I started to think, are we just going to get the kitchen scene from the first movie beat for beat? But then the twist comes. The S-Rex just breaks the door down and charges in after the kids. And then Kenji turns on the stove burners to distract the beast because it gets hypnotized by fire. Good thinking on Kenji's part, but you're telling me the stove still works after being left untouched for 23 years? I mean, the place can't be getting any electricity. Okay, to correct myself, although most stoves these days are electrical, it is possible for the one in the visitor center to still be functioning if it was a gas stove. In fact, not being in use actually gives it a greater chance of lasting longer than 18 years. And while Blue becomes a pro at hybrid butt kicking, the camp fam realized how weak the roof of the foyer is, so they finish off the two S-Rexes by making it cave in on them. I loved that. After getting beaten by the OG T-Rex had been done, this was probably the next best demise they could have given to a monstrosity like the Scorpius Rex, getting crushed by the old park that John Hammond built. Now, before the release of the season, I had heard that there would be 10 episodes instead of the usual 8, but I started to doubt that when episode 8 neared its conclusion. The main threat has been defeated, the kids are finally setting sail, there's a heartfelt moment where Ben decides at the last minute to go with them, and so I was thinking, by all accounts, this season is wrapping up right now, right? Are there really just 8 episodes after all? But then suddenly it just goes, oh wait a minute, before you go, there's one more adventure for you to go on. Yeah, the extra 2 episodes really feel tacked on, even more so than the San Diego sequence in The Lost World. Nevertheless, I started getting excited when I saw the helicopters flying around the island, and it's happening during a huge storm at night. I got to thinking, oh boy, is this what I think it is? And sure enough, coming from near the Mosasaurus Lagoon, we hear, Marine 1, I'm closing the gate, getting the T-Rex's attention, and then she goes chasing the tech merc toward his helicopter. And we find out that Dr. Wu was there that night, returning to the island to retrieve everything related to his accomplishments regarding dino hybrids, including some important files about the Scorpius Rex on his laptop. It's really cool watching the opening of Fallen Kingdom again with this new outlook, that the mission to collect the DNA sample from the Indominus was part of a bigger expedition. They still could have been a little more movie accurate with some things, like when the T-Rex is giving chase, she didn't effortlessly bump the truck out of her way, she got her head underneath it and flipped it over, and she also let out a roar right before grabbing the ladder.
Nobody will ever notice that. Filmmaking is not about the tiny details, it's about the big picture.
So knowing that Wu would create more S&I Rexes with the files on his laptop, the kids all agree to do whatever it takes to keep him from getting it. At the part where they climb up the vent from the lab and that mercenary has Brooklyn by the foot, she hands him the laptop and before getting yanked down she murmurs, whatever it takes. All I was thinking in that moment was, the Avengers want their line back. While Wu holds Brooklyn hostage to get the others to hand over his laptop, Brooklyn says something to him that likely foreshadows the completion of his arc in Dominion. She says, true visionaries make the world better, not worse. Hopefully one day you'll understand that. Contrary to Darius's plan, Kenji goes ahead and gives the laptop back to Wu after too much time had been sacrificed trying to wipe it first. The laptop gets smashed anyway underneath a herd of ankylosaurs, but Wu leaves the island knowing that it's not a total loss because they successfully collected the I-Rex bone. And fortunately for the camp fam, they still have their yacht, and they're finally on their way to Costa Rica. And the season left me smiling when Darius affirms to Brooklyn that despite everything that went wrong, a lot of good still came out of his experience at Jurassic World. He looks back, and taking a mental picture of the island, he smiles knowing that he fulfilled the dream that he and his dad shared. While it may not have had quite the same effect as if we were seeing the real island in live action, I still got a little misty-eyed knowing that this might be the final time we see the island in any form. I want to say that this is the best season of Camp Cretaceous. There are things it did that the first 2 didn't. It made me like Ben, it got me decently scared, and it even had me fanboying out on occasion. Therefore, it should be my favorite. But in addition to not being as well structured as the first 2 seasons, there are a bunch of things that just don't add up, and too many unanswered questions that don't feel like they're simply being left for another time. I mean, we'll see come future episodes, but at the end of the day, nothing under the Jurassic Park logo has left me with so many conflicting thoughts as Camp Cretaceous Season 3 has. It does make it a little frustrating, but there are enough great things about it that I am glad I saw it. I guess you could say it left me feeling about the same way that Darius did when he was leaving the island. Funny enough, I have seen a number of fans wondering if there's even going to be a Season 4, and I guess this is because this show is leaving Camp Cretaceous. But hey, A Nightmare on Elm Street 3 didn't take place on Elm Street. And anyway, I think it is pretty obvious that there's going to be more. There are still unresolved conflicts, like how Sammy is going to deal with Manticore when she gets back home. Darius and Kenji aren't on the best terms, as Kenji accused him of taking risks with a friend's life. Not to mention, there's something underneath the deck on their boat, because Isla Nublar is ruled under Murphy's Law. It's probably going to wreak some havoc when they get to Costa Rica, like in the Michael Crichton novel. It could be another Scorpius Rex, but I think they're going to want to put more focus on real dinosaurs when leaving the island. It definitely can't be blue, so I'm going to put my money on Monolophosaurus, because they've been shown to be good at creeping into small spaces. Either that or a kind of dinosaur that we've never seen before. Herrerasaurus would be super cool. Or heck, maybe it's one of the monsters from A Quiet Place. See what I did there, those who've seen part 2? Now, before I go, I have to mention the thrilling news that we got a few days ago. Even though we couldn't see Jurassic World Dominion this year, we are going to see 5 minutes worth of footage from the movie. It's being shown with IMAX screenings of Fast and Furious 9, which is in theaters on the 25th. I'm stoked just to see an extended preview to tide us over for this next year. I'm going to see the movie opening night, and right afterward, I'll be making a video describing what I will have seen in that preview. So I hope you'll look forward to that, and if you want to see the footage for yourself, remember, it's only playing on IMAX screens with F9 The Fast Saga. The hype is truly about to begin. I can feel it like a thunderous tremor making water ripple. That's a wrap, thank you for watching, I hope you enjoyed this review. Like and share, subscribe for more. This is Pop Culture, I'm Alex Pop.